Welcome back to the Speak Your Piece podcast. My name is Ian McNaughton, Big E. Thank you very much for joining us. Got a great show ahead. Lots to get into. I'm set up. I'm ready. I think we'll have a consistent schedule for at least a little longer this time than the last time. Just ready to actually do it and get into it and pod and give opinions and not, bother other people with my opinions personally, just doing it through a podcast. Although I probably still will bother people with my opinions. Who knows? For those who are wondering, I got a standing desk setup going right now, and I like it. You can tell if you're watching on the video portion. I got a standing desk version, and I kind of like it. I kind of like this idea of it. The only person that I've seen who does any sort of like standing desk version is Cam Newton. And obviously I don't have the fits like Cam Newton does. Cam has fits for days. I just have a generic hoodie, my Red Wings hat. So I'm not quite Cam Newton in that regard, but we do share a similarity in that we're doing a standing desk pod. So how about that? So let's get into it. It's Tuesday, October 22nd. We're doing this after it's not a doubleheader because doubleheaders are like one game and then the next. So like the staggered Monday night games between Ravens, Bucks, Chargers, Cardinals. First of all, let me just say, best of luck to Chris Godwin and Mike Evans. But Chris Godwin, that injury did not look good last night at all. Not great. Tough luck. Not much more you could say. Just guy getting his leg crumpled. You hate to see it. Hope you get better soon, Chris. Mike Evans, I believe, left early with a hamstring injury yesterday. Not great. He got a touchdown, but not great. The Bucks are not the same team without those guys. So we'll see how it goes. Who knows? I don't know. Just hopefully those guys get better, feel better. The Ravens look legit. The Ravens are in the top AFC tier. I think I've said this before. Basically, it's either going to be the Chiefs, the Bills, or the Ravens representing the AFC in the Super Bowl. I don't think it's the Steelers. Don't think it's the... I can't even think of any other team that would be even close. The Dolphins are not going to be there. I don't think the Texans are going to be there. The Texans are good. I don't think the Texans are Ravens, Chiefs, Bills good. Like the Chiefs, Bills, Ravens are the top tier of the AFC. Those teams are going to be in the Super Bowl. One of those three teams. It's not Houston. I don't think Houston has the experience or the coaching that any of those other three teams do. There's something to be said for, having Andy Reid, John Harbaugh, Sean McDermott as your head coach, compared to DeMarco Ryans. I think the Texans are a good team. They'll be a division round team. They're not a Super Bowl team. That's my hot take there. In terms of Chargers, Cardinals, I watched most of that game last night. That was on ESPN Plus in the States. I'm sure the conversation for that was just like ESPN going to the NFL and being like, hey, NBC's doing games on Peacock, exclusive games on Peacock. Can we do an exclusive game on ESPN Plus? And the NFL was like, okay, sure. And then they put on Chargers Cardinals on a staggered Monday night. So Chargers Cardinals was fine. I don't know that we really learned a lot from that game. I think we got to learn a little bit more about Will Disley, former Seattle Seahawks tight end. The Cardinals are, like I don't think either one of those teams are all that good. And I mean, well, I can't remember what was the final score last night. I think it was like 17-15. Like, it was not a very high scoring, shootout affair. It was very much a defensive battle. By the way, shout out Chris Fowler, who's a great play-by-play guy. He usually does the college football games on Saturdays for ESPN. He did the Monday night game with Dan Orlovsky and Louis Riddick, and I think those guys are fine. Dan Orlovsky's fine. I like Louis Riddick. I don't know that those guys are booth material, like color commentary material. I like listening to Louis Riddick because he can break things down pretty easily. But yeah, they were talking about James Conner, how well he was doing. Neither team's quarterback was all that great. Herbert had some tremendous throws. Like Herbert, beautiful throws last night. There was one, I think, when they were driving down at the end of the game to take the lead before they gave the ball back. He threw I don't know if it was like a comeback route. I don't know what the actual name of the route is, but he threw like a comeback route to Josh Palmer, who up and then back on the outside, and just perfect ball placement by Herbert to get that ball to where it needed to be for Palmer. Chargers aren't that good. Maybe they aren't going to be that great this season. They might sneak into a wild card spot, but they have a really good quarterback. And not a whole lot of weapons. So, let's go back to some of the other games. We'll talk a little bit about this weekend. Lions-Vikings was a fantastic battle. I mean, if you just go, I'm going to pull up the box score just to prove how tight this was. Jared Goff threw for 280 yards. Sam Darnold threw for 259. So 247 passing yards for the Lions, 244 for the Vikings. 144 rushing yards for the Lions, 139 for the Vikings. 7 yards per play for the Lions, 7.4 for the Vikings. 19 first down for the Lions, 16 for the Vikings. Both teams went 4 for 10 on third down. Each team allowed 4 sacks. Each team had 8 penalties. This was such a close. The time of possession, the Lions had 29:03 time of possession. Vikings had 30:57. This was about as close of a game as you could have. It was tight. It was back and forth. It felt like a playoff game, and they'll probably meet again in the playoffs. Both teams are probably going to make the playoffs. And kudos to Dan Campbell, Kevin O'Connell, Brian Flores, Ben Johnson for putting on one hell of a show for everybody on Sunday. I still think the Lions are the best team in the NFC. I think it's hard not to go with the Lions at this point. They can beat you in so many different ways. They have so many different pieces. Their coaching is outstanding. Just a tremendous ball club. The Vikings have a formula that works for them. Obviously they didn't beat the Lions, and that's a little disappointing, a little disheartening if you're Minnesota. But I mean, when you have a outstanding defensive coordinator like Brian Flores, who can fuck up anybody's offensive day, depending on who you are, and you have a quarterback like Sam Darnold, who is doing enough, he's making enough plays, he's got enough playmakers himself with Justin Jefferson out there, it's a formula that works. I don't know if it's the most sustainable formula if you're Minnesota, or any NFL team for that matter, but it's working for Minnesota. It's working for the Vikings. They are now, I think, 5-1 this season. Yeah, they're 5-1. They got games coming up against the Rams Thursday, the Colts November 3rd, the Jags November 10th, the Titans November 17th. Three road games in a row is tough. That's not great, because then they go to Jacksonville, they go to Nashville, and then they go to Chicago. That's not ideal if you're Minnesota, but I think all of those are winnable games. You're just going on the road for 3 weeks. So, with that being said, I think the Vikings have a formula that works. I don't know how necessarily sustainable it is. I don't necessarily believe that they are Super Bowl contenders. They might win a division. I think it's still Detroit's to lose. But it's not, at least it's not as hopeless as it was at the beginning of the year when J.J. McCarthy was out and Kirk Cousins left. So like there is some opportunity to get to 10 wins and make this, I call it a successful season considering where the expectations were if you're Minnesota. So kudos to the Vikings there, and kudos to the Lions for beating them. Sunday Night Football, Steelers over Jets. I think the Steelers did a really good job. I was surprised that they did go with Russell Wilson to begin with for this game. He had some really good throws. I haven't watched enough Steelers football to be like, yeah, that's why you start him, because I don't know how well Justin Fields was playing all that much. Probably not as good as Russ, so they'll stick with Russ for a while for now. I don't know that I trust this Russ performance. This is beating up on a Jets team that is going through its own struggles. It's going through its own problems. So, yeah, you can beat up on the Jets. That's good. That's fun. Now, you get to host Pittsburgh or you get to host New York. You get to host the Giants on Monday Night Football. Like I think the Steelers will probably make the playoffs. They have a good enough record not to. They seem to have good enough pieces around them. T.J. Watt's still there. Najee Harris is a really good running back. If Russ can start to use Pickens a little bit more, like he showed on Sunday, I think there's opportunity there. I don't think the Steelers are in that top tier that I talked about earlier with the Chiefs, the Bills, and the Ravens. They're probably a tier, maybe two below, probably kind of hovering where the Texans are. Or probably between like the Dolphins, Texans. I'm trying to think of like who's another team in the AFC South that's like they're better than the Colts, better than the Dolphins. I don't know if they're better than the Bengals. That's the one team I'm big on Cincinnati. I'm big on Joe Burrow. Like I think I would take Joe Burrow over Pittsburgh. I think Joe Burrow is better than anybody on Pittsburgh. That's my hot take. But alas, kudos to the Steelers. The Jets stink. The Jets are bad. The Jets are the Jets. The Jets are awful. They don't have any future. They barely have a present. And Robert Saleh was not the reason why you guys gave up 30 points to the Steelers on Sunday. I think it seems to me the impression I get is that the interim head coach Jeff Ulbrich is not comfortable. He is not head coach material. They just needed somebody to be the head coach while the rest of the season continued since they fired Robert Saleh. I don't think Ulbrich's a head coach. I don't know that he necessarily wanted to be a head coach. I think he just got thrown into the position of being a head coach, and it's probably a bit overwhelming, and it's probably not going great. It's probably not going well. So I like to take that into consideration of just a coach who just doesn't seem to he doesn't feel like a head coach. He doesn't feel like he has head coach material. Maybe he'll be a head coach somewhere else later down the road, but definitely not now. He does not feel like a head coach. Does not feel comfortable in that position. I think it's impacting the rest of the team. The other team I want to talk about, the New Orleans Saints. I think it's Jover for them. I think it's Jover for New Orleans. They don't really have a franchise quarterback. Now, Rattler played a game. Is obviously not 100%. He's not there yet. He might be eventually. And if the goal is to develop Spencer Rattler into a starting NFL quarterback, I don't love having Dennis Allen as your head coach. I mean, Dennis Allen I know is a defensive guy, but the defense did not look great Thursday against the Broncos. It's tough because where do you go from here? Like, I don't know what the future is for New Orleans. They've kind of just been doing this void contract we're going to keep kicking the can down the line and down the line and down the line. And now here's down the line where you don't have a franchise quarterback. Your defense looked underwhelming against a Broncos team that I think ran for 130, 140 yards on you in your stadium, in your home, in your house, which is not good. So I don't know that I think Dennis Allen's a fine coach. I don't know that he's the answer. I would expect there to be some sort of culture change in the offseason, whether it's firing a head coach, selling off pieces. I don't know who would be available. I don't know who would be of interest to other teams. Like, I know Rashid Shaheed would probably be someone of interest. I don't know if Cam Jordan still has any love. Yeah, like, I just don't know with the Saints. Like, it just feels like this is a good time to just, like, hey, we want to get ahead of the rebuild. We tried, it didn't work. And you can admit failure. That's okay. I don't think people are going to be upset by that. I like to think your fan base is going to be honest and understanding and be like, yeah, that's probably about right. That's probably the right decision to make. So, poor New Orleans. I know they, had high expectations on Thursday with the Drew Brees number retirement, Sean Payton coming back. Felt like a winnable game. Coming into it, it felt like they could beat the Broncos at home. They couldn't. Now what are you going to do if you're New Orleans? You can keep trying the same guys out there, but it's not going to go well, and there's not a lot of light at the end of the tunnel. So I would say just kind of cut your losses. You got to this point. You got to, a couple NFC Championship games. You got there. So nothing to be ashamed of. It is what it is. Finally, in my NFL recap, I got to give a quick shout out to my Seattle Seahawks, who looked really good on Sunday against the Atlanta Falcons. That's a quality win. That's a quality dub. Shout out Geno Smith, who I think went 18 of 20 passing. He was on fire. He was in fuego against that Falcons defense. DK Metcalf looked outstanding. Kenneth Walker, he had a flu game. He wasn't feeling very well going into it. He got 2 touchdowns. Great effort from the Seahawks. I think there's a statement win in a way with people doubting them, especially coming off the San Francisco loss. And really it's the 3 losses in 10 days, with the loss to the Lions on Monday night, the Giants in Seattle, the Niners on Thursday night. They go into Atlanta, kind of silence some doubters for a little bit. That's huge. So Seahawks are looking good. They lead the NFC West as I record this. I think they're 4-3. So, there's still a lot of ball going on, a lot of ball ahead, but really impressed with the performance on Sunday against the Atlanta Falcons. So, all right, stick around. Don't go anywhere. We're going to be back. We're going to be discussing some NHL. Give a little NHL recap for you. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. All right, welcome back. We're going to do a little NHL recap and notes from the past week. Tuesday today is Frozen Frenzy, which is all 32 teams playing during the day. What time does that start here? Let's take a look. Frozen Frenzy. Try and pull that up here. I know it's today. I know all teams are playing. I just don't know if there's any good matchups or any interesting matchups. Starts at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. Caps Flyers. Last game starts at 11 p.m. Eastern with the Kings and the Golden Knights. Sharks Ducks could be interesting, I guess. At 9 Eastern, the Hurricanes are playing the Oilers in a rematch of the 2006 Stanley Cup Final. Yeah, I don't know that there's a great game here. Devils Lightning at 6:45 p.m. Eastern Time, 3:45 p.m. Pacific. Yeah, I don't know that I love any of those games. Anyways, shout out to the Winnipeg Jets. They are the last remaining undefeated team. They beat Pittsburgh on Sunday. They are now 5-0. I think the Jets are good. It is still early on. I wouldn't necessarily call them cup contenders. They at least just have a formula that seems to be working, and that's just leaning on your goaltender Connor Hellebuck. That's basically it. I think the Jets are fine. I don't even know that they are the best team right now. I don't know that I love them personally compared to, if they go up against Colorado again, and I mean, Colorado is a whole different can of worms considering they were second to last team to win a game. I think Nashville still hasn't won. Yeah, Colorado, and I mean, part of it with the Avalanche is that they have like 800 save percentage from their goalie. Not great. And maybe they figure that out, and maybe they find somebody who can actually play goalie. But it's kind of just this like toss up of like, how do you want to build a team? With the Jets, they went in with Scheifele and a goalie, primarily Hellebuck, who is going to lead the team, and we're going to build around him. Whereas the Avalanche are like, we have Nate McKinnon and Cale Makar, and we're trying to save money because we're trying to re-sign Mikko Rantanen next year. So, I don't know. It's something. It is definitely something. I'll say that much. So Winnipeg, they look really good. They also have only played one game on the road, 4 games at home, 1 on the road. That's a little concerning. They might just have really good home ice advantage. They might just be better at home. Shout out to Nikita Kucherov, who leads the league in scoring. When I was doing my notes, he had 7 goals in 4 games. I don't know if he scored last night against Toronto on the Amazon Prime game in Canada. 7 goals in 5 games, so he didn't score yesterday. But he still leads the league in goals. So Kucherov is back. He is in fuego to start the year. It's why Tampa has done really well. I don't know if you look at the top 5 in goal scorers. You have Kucherov number 1, Panarin number 2. He's got 6 goals. Caulfield, he's got 6 goals. I love Cole Caulfield. I can't say enough about him. That kid's been on fire to start this year. Hopefully Montreal can keep up with Caulfield because he's just been electric. He's been fun to watch. He's been must-see TV to start the year. Also, you know who else has 6 goals to start the year? Ross Colton of the Colorado Avalanche. So the Avalanche have McKinnon, Rantanen, Makar. They got 6 goals already from Ross Colton, and they only have 1 win this year. At least 1 win because their goaltending's ass. So that's a problem if you're Colorado. But Kucherov has been basically running the show. He's been incredible. It's been fun to watch. Caulfield, I think, for my money, has been one of the best guys to watch all year and makes the Habs more exciting. So, something we said for Cole Caulfield. I also want to just touch on the LA Kings. They survived their long road trip. They started their preseason. They had a preseason game, 2 games? I think they had 2 preseason games in Quebec. They got to play preseason games in Quebec and basically then started their season on the East Coast in the Atlantic. Like, they went from Buffalo. They started the regular season of Buffalo to Boston, then to Ottawa. Ottawa was the crazy 8-7 game on Canadian Thanksgiving. It was like 8-7 in OT. They went from Ottawa to then Toronto. They lost to Toronto. They were looking like they were going to be 0-4 to start the year. Maybe 0-5 against Montreal because they played Toronto, Montreal back to back. They beat Montreal, so they got a win against Montreal. But I mean, they were on the road for like 2 weeks, I think, pretty well 2 weeks with their travel from Quebec City, from LA to Quebec City, to Buffalo to Boston, to Ottawa to Toronto, to Montreal back to LA. And then they had to go to Anaheim on Sunday, and I think they beat the Ducks on Sunday. But like they haven't played a home game yet this year with how the scheduling has worked out. So, tough stretch. I think he said like the Kings put in like 1,800 kilometers, like just back and forth, 20 days, like just an exhausting trip for the LA Kings. They got 2 wins. They probably should have got another one at least. Probably could have beat Ottawa, but that's hockey. That's a tough trip. That's a tough way to start the year. So I still think the Kings they feel like they're a superstar short, and that's probably what they attempted to do by getting Pierre-Luc Dubois last year, is a superstar or a star. And I don't know that the Kings are going to be any different than past years. I know we talked about it with Scotty K on a Pacific Division preview, but I don't think this Kings team is all that great. They are maybe a wild card team. They also feel like they're probably a superstar, goal scorer, and some goaltending away from actually being a legit team, if I'm honest. Speaking of disappointing, the Nashville Predators, they are the last winless team in the NHL. Not great considering how much money they spent in the offseason. I think they, spent a total of $1 billion in player contracts over 8 years. I think Nashville, I'll have to double check. I'm pretty sure Nashville's issue is just bad goaltending and a poor PDO. Yeah, second lowest PDO in the league, which PDO, if you don't know, is just save percentage plus shooting percentage. Like, they have a PDO of 89.25, which that's not good, obviously. It's the second lowest in the league. Colorado is worse at 88.77. The thing about Nashville and Colorado, though, is like I trust those guys to bounce back. Like I'm willing to bet on Colorado and Tampa, or Colorado and Nashville just having bad luck to start the year, and I'm willing to just be like, hey, these guys will figure it out. These guys will bounce back. Kind of like Edmonton did last year. I don't know about Edmonton this year, but for Colorado and Nashville, I'm willing to chalk it up after, 10 days into the season. I'm willing to chalk it up to them just being like, hey, they just got bad puck luck to start the season, and they will figure it out. They are too good to figure. Like at least Nashville has Saros, Stammer, Yossi. Like Nashville has dudes. I think the Preds are fine. Colorado has dudes. They don't have goaltending, which I am concerned about. That would be an area of conversation if I'm like Joe Sakic and I'm looking to. I don't know if Chris McFarland is still with the Avalanche. That is definitely an organization I would look at trying to get a goalie, but I do have faith in Nashville and Colorado that they will turn it around. Like they are fine. They will be okay. Everything will be fine for them. Basically, that's kind of the hockey stuff I have going on. In case you haven't been paying attention, I just dropped a Saturday hockey column. It's kind of like a Hockey Night in Canada Saturday game preview where I just preview some of the games, put them in tiers, do some other kind of fun hockey stuff like naming Gordle players. I think it's cool. I think it's fun. Go check it out on my Substack. If you don't know what a Substack is or would like to know what a Substack is, let me know. I can send you the link. The link is also on all of my Instagram and Twitter handles. Pages. Go check my pages and you can find the links to that. I can also send you the links. Who else? The Leafs beat the Lightning last night on Amazon Prime Hockey. Solid win for the Leafs. That feels like such a rare Leafs win in that they dominated right out the gate. They were the better team. They chased Vasilevsky early. So I think if the Leafs can play like that this year, I think the Leafs are going to be good. I'm just going through some teams. Like, I think the Leafs could be good if they could be not just good, but maybe even like genuine like contenders, cup contenders, if they play like that. Now, Stolarz is bailing them out. Stolarz, I don't think, has given up more than two goals in his first 5 starts. So Stolarz is obviously doing really good. I'm curious if that same goalie and goaltending is there come April for playoff season. Who knows? The Lightning are still good. I like the Lightning. Lightning are doing well. I've seen the Canucks this year. Watched some of the Canucks games. They just feel like they are just missing Demko. Like, I think the team is good. I think the team's fine. They just feel like they're missing Demko, which is understandable. Lankinen's been really good when he's got the call to start. Sheeloff has not been that good, unfortunately. In his starts, I don't know if they would move him because they need goaltending. Like, Vancouver needs goaltending. I don't know if they move him, but he obviously hasn't been great. The Red Wings have not been good. I don't know that Derek Lalonde will be fired. He kind of saved himself a little bit on the hot seat. They have 2 wins over Nashville, which isn't nothing. In the Frozen Frenzy, they are playing the Islanders tonight. I'd like to think they could beat the Islanders, but the Red Wings play such a slow game of hockey. Like, it's a slow, lethargic. It was kind of refreshing seeing Marco Kasper get an opportunity on the big club, since he just provided a little bit more energy, a little bit more speed. Nice to see from him, and hopefully it carries over with the rest of the team. And finally, I guess I'll say I'm not worried about the Oilers yet. I probably won't be until, what were they, 0-9, 0-10 to start the season. So, like, game 11, like, I'm not worried about the Oilers. They will figure it out. They're going to be fine. I don't think they're much different from last year's team. So they'll be okay. The Oilers will be fine. So there's some NHL recap and notes for you. Stick around. Again, we're going to be right back. We're going to take another break. We're going to be discussing the NBA season preview right after this. Don't go anywhere. All right, welcome back. We're going to do some NBA talk, a little NBA season preview. NBA season starts tonight, which good on, I guess, the NHL for doing their big Frozen Frenzy when the NBA is starting their season. Great marketing, guys. Also, shout out the New York Liberty for winning the WNBA Finals on Sunday. Big win over the Minnesota Lynx. Fun game. Nice story for the Liberty to, actually bring a title to New York. Apparently the game was incredible. I thought it was, in at least watching what I was able to watch of it. Looked really good. Kudos to Liberty. Well done to New York. That's, again, nice that some New York team can win a title. I'm going to do some NBA picks here. I'm not the most up-to-date, knowledgeable NBA guy, basketball guy. I probably was like 5 years ago, like when I was in university. I kind of ended high school, university was like, that was like the peak of my basketball fandom. Not so much now, but I mean, I'd still go to an NBA game. I think the last game I went to was Golden State and Portland. Yeah, Golden State, Portland. My mom and I went to go see the Golden State Warriors with Steph and Clay. Kind of like, not the peak of the Splash Bros, but like, you got Jordan Poole there too. And just seeing my mom in awe of how like fun and exciting the Warriors were in person, it's like, yeah, this rocks. This is cool. All right, let's go for this here. NBA Finals. I'm gonna go off DraftKings, I guess, because they seem to be the leaders in all this sort of stuff. Celtics Celtics have the best odds to win, plus 310. OKC plus 650. I'm not picking OKC to win a title. Those guys can suck it. Knicks plus 800. I'm either gonna go. I think I'm gonna go with Denver, but the Nuggets at plus 950 and the Timberwolves at plus 1,000. I like those odds. Those are probably my favorite for teams to go win a title. I think there's a chance the Celtics could repeat. I wouldn't be surprised by that, but we haven't seen many teams repeat, at least since like Golden State, Cleveland. Like when they were going back and forth and getting back to the finals repetitively. So I'm gonna say the Nuggets. I think the Nuggets are good. I love Jokic. I feel like I relate to Nikola Jokic in so many ways. The most significant way I think I feel like I relate to him is that I feel like a fat white boy when I'm on the court and I'm just doing shit and trying shit and hoping it works. And for him it does, and that's why he's in the NBA. And for me, that's why I get yelled at when I go and play, pick up with my buddies back in Squamish. Let's take a look. So I'm gonna go with the Nuggets plus 950, although the T-Wolves at plus 1,000. I like those odds too. Let's see. Any other good? Do we have a player? Let's see. Just trying to find odds to make playoffs. Here we go. Knicks, Celtics, Mavs. Those all seem legitimate. Spurs plus 350 to make the playoffs. I know they are not good outside of Victor Wembanyama. I kind of want to. You know what? I'll throw a little bit of. I'll throw a little bit of action. I'm not the gambling guy, but I'll take that. I think the Spurs will make the playoffs. I'm going to trust Wemby to be good enough for the Spurs. Portland's not making the playoffs. I don't know about the Lakers. The Lakers are so weird. Like, who's in their starting line? Like, their starting lineup is LeBron, Davis, D'Angelo Russell, Rui Hachimura. Like, I feel like that's a play-in team. I don't necessarily know they are contenders or great by any means. Especially if they get injured and they're not healthy. Like if it gets to Christmas and like the Lakers are 5 games under 500 and they have injuries, it's like, yeah, okay, this is not going to go where it should go, but we'll see. I don't know. I want the Lakers to do well. I like LeBron. I like AD. I like Rui. I like D'Angelo. I've been told big things are to come for the Dalton Neck, their first round pick, Knecht, Neck, I think, Neck. I want the Lakers to do well. I just don't think they will. Minnesota should make the playoffs. The Pacers are going to be fun. Tyrese Halliburton, Pascal Siakam, fun team. They're hosting the All-Star game too, I believe, this year. So they should they should get a bump this year. The Pacers should be. I don't know about because the top 2 in the East look to be the Celtics and the Knicks. So the Pacers are probably 3, which is kind of historically accurate because the Pacers haven't really been at the top of the East. I'm gonna say the Reggie Miller era, but I could be wrong. Maybe they were with Paul George, but even then, those Miami teams were really good back in like the early 10s, like the 2011, 2012 Pacers. I feel like 2013. I feel like Miami was still better. So the Pacers feel probably like a third seed. I wonder if I could put money on that. I think the Pacers will be the third seed in the East. How about that? Pistons are not making the playoffs. They're still rebuilding. Raptors probably not making the playoffs. The Raptors are such a curious situation considering the fact that there's all the development going on and all the changes going on in Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment. For good reason, I think a lot of attention gets put on the Maple Leafs and the hockey team. I don't know where. I don't know what the plan is with the Raptors. I didn't pay attention to them enough last season to really get an understanding. As far as I know, they won a title and they've been rebuilding since. They are not the same team, and they probably will never be the same team that won with Kawhi, but they went 25-57. So they were last in their division. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the Raptors are doing. I don't know where they're going. If they're just being patient and they like their guys. They have RJ Barrett. I like Scotty Barnes. I like Grady Dick is supposed to be somebody. But other than that, you go through the rest of the list. Chris Boucher is still on this team. Davion Mitchell is somebody I like, but I don't. He shouldn't be starting. He's a good role bench player. Kelly Olynyk's on his team. Jakob Poeltl is on this team. I think Quickly is supposed to be good too, or maybe not starting good, but role player good. Same with Garrett Temple. I think they have a lot of role players and three. I don't know if you want to say franchise guys or guys they think they can build around. I don't know. I'm not sure what they're doing. The Hawks, I think they traded DeJounte Murray, which was that's kind of when I was losing or leaving my NBA fandom when DeJounte Murray got traded. I like DeJounte. He went to Atlanta. It didn't really work because he got traded, and now he is in New Orleans? Where's DeJounte Murray? He didn't go back to San Antonio. Yeah, New Orleans. Called it. Atlanta's got a guy in Trae Young, and Atlanta's probably still, they like their guy, but they could have had Luka Doncic. That's the deal with Atlanta. They like their guy, but they could have had this, and that's probably overhanging a little bit. But I don't know what the Hawks are doing. Heat will make the playoffs. The Heat will probably be good because they're the Heat. Brooklyn is plus 3,000 to make the playoffs. So the Nets that bad? Are the Nets that bad? Who's on the Nets? This is really just the podcast now. It's just me going through NBA rosters. It's not who he plays for. It's just who the fuck plays for who now. It's just what are these teams? What the fuck's happened to my NBA? Nick Claxton's supposed to be good on I don't recognize that name. Dorian Finney-Smith I don't think is that good. I think Cam Johnson's fine. Shake Milton's okay. Dennis Schroeder's okay. Ben Simmons is on this team. Okay. Yeah, there's not really many guys on here. Bogdanovich. Yeah, there's not really many guys. I take that back. The Nets are probably not must-see. Oh, okay. They traded Mikal Bridges, so they got a bunch of first rounds for Mikal Bridges. That's probably fine. They can rebuild. Understandable. Orlando is minus 900 to make the playoffs. The Magic are good. I do remember that. I do remember the Magic are good. Or the Magic are they have a lot of young pieces. Orlando and OKC, I feel have done the same thing of hey, we're just gonna load up on picks and our guys are gonna be good, and they are. Cleveland's got a lot of good guys. Cleveland's good. I know that. Philadelphia is not going to make the conference finals again because that's just how that works. They've run it back with Embiid in so many different variations, and none of them have worked, so maybe just trade Embiid. I don't know. They can't because he's such a big part of the city, but, I I don't know. The dude hasn't won anything. Like, is it his fault? I don't know, but haven't won. Milwaukee will make the playoffs. Apparently, I did hear like chatter that Giannis could be on his way out, which is crazy to me. No, I guess it shouldn't be crazy because like NBA guys move every like 3 years, it seems like. But like Giannis feels like such a big part of Milwaukee that I can't imagine him leaving Milwaukee. But I'm sure there's some team that will pay way too much to get him. We'll see how they do. The Bulls, ass. Hornets, ass. Pelicans, plus 170 to make the playoffs. The Pelicans, I think, made the play. No, they didn't make the first round last year. Okay, they did make the playoffs. So the Pelicans are good. Houston's minus 110 to make the playoffs. I don't know who's on Houston. Are the Rockets good? Does Travis Scott play for the Rockets? I don't know any of these guys. Let's take a look here. Steven Adams. Okay, I know who Steven Adams is. That's cool that Steven Adams is still in the league. Dylan Brooks. I like Dylan Brooks. Jalen Green. He's supposed to be good, I think. Jeff Green is on this team. Jesus Christ. Aaron Holiday is still in the league. Is this Sengun? Alperen Sengun? I think he's supposed to be good. Reed Shepard, they just drafted him. He was born in 2004. Jesus Christ. This guy is... I'm 5 years older than this guy. Fred VanVleet, I like him. Yeah, I guess this Rockets team is fine. I don't know if they're making the playoffs, but who knows? Maybe this is the year I get back into the NBA. Also, Ime Udoka is the head coach, and yeah, he was the guy who got fired from the Celtics. Yeah, I don't know about this. Anyways, Rockets, I don't know. Jazz plus 2,000 to make the playoff. Weren't the Jazz good? I thought the Jazz were good. That might have been just when Donovan Mitchell was like last there. Now he's in Cleveland. Memphis minus 245 to make the playoffs. I think Memphis is good. They have Ja Morant, and he's fun. That dude rocks. I mean, he probably needs to like just be a little bit more considerate about like when he's like showing off his guns. But like besides that, I think he's really cool and he makes some sick dunks. Golden State is minus 115 to make the playoffs. I can't go against Steph Curry and Steve Kerr to make the playoffs. I can't. I know Clay's not there, but like it's the Golden State we're talking about. They're the dynasty. I think they'll be fine without Clay. I think they'll be okay. Denver will make the playoffs. I have them winning the title. Clippers plus 390 to make the playoffs. Are the Clippers not good anymore? Let's take a look here. LA Clippers. They got a new arena, by the way. They're playing in the Intuit Dome, which I think is like near SoFi in LA. Go check out the Intuit Dome. Like go like check out some video on that. That looks sick. Mo Bamba's on the Clippers. That's cool. Nicholas Batum. Chris Dunn is still in the league. James Harden. Derek Jones Jr., Bones Highland, Ty Jones, Kawhi Leonard, Terrence Mann, Kevin Porter Jr., Norman Powell, PJ Tucker, Zubac. Listen, I think this team would be like, just reading like the roster, just looking at those guys, I think I could get behind that team if it wasn't the Clippers. Like, if that was Utah, I'd be like, hell yeah, that's cool, that rocks. I'm going to bandwagon for this team. But it's the Clippers, and like the Clippers never win fucking shit. The Clippers are ass. Clippers are in the in-season tournament with Minnesota, Sacramento, Houston, Portland. That seems like they should advance. Yeah, I don't know that you can be like building a team around James Harden anymore. But like, what do I know? Suns minus 265. I think they're good. They have Kevin Durant. I love Kevin Durant. Phoenix feels like an underrated basketball city. Like, I feel like the Suns should have a better history for basketball. Like, I know they had Barkley in the 90s. They had Steve Nash in like the 2000s, the 10s, 2000s. And then they weren't anything. Now they have Durant. And like, I guess it's kind of nowadays how NBA fandom is, where like, you know, you don't. I guess Barkley wasn't really a homegrown talent, but like, I don't know. I feel like the Suns should be like cooler. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like like more people. But I guess that's just how NBA fandom is, where like everybody like switches teams every 3 years, and then you know you don't really get enough time to like really grow and attach and like make somebody a part of the city. Like, I'm thinking Durant, for example. Whereas like back in the day, where like the movement wasn't as so, and it's such a different world the NBA is obviously now compared to like 10, 20 years ago. I hope it kind of like, I don't know how to describe it. I don't know. I feel like the Suns should be cooler, and more people should be rooting for the Suns. But I guess there's also people who just hate KD because he went to Golden State, which like, I don't know. He's one of the greatest basketball players ever. I love KD. He used to play for the Sonics. I hope there's a way to which KD can like finish his career in Seattle. Like, they bring a team back and he plays like the last season in Seattle. I think that'd be cool. I don't know how good or effective he would be, but like in 5 years from now, if he's still playing and there's a team in Seattle, I hope he plays for the Sonics. Wizards not making the playoffs. OKC making the playoffs. So who did I say here? I'm probably going long on NBA talk, but that's fine. I usually go long on all this stuff anyways. Said Spurs to make the playoffs. They say Lakers to make the playoffs. I don't know. I think the Lakers will make the playoffs, sure. Lakers, playoffs. What are their odds? Minus 105. Yeah. Is there any other teams that I mean, I said the Bulls and Hornets are both ass. Pelicans are good. Rockets, I don't know, probably are going to be good. Jazz, Grizzlies, Golden State. I said Golden State would make the playoffs. I don't know how the math on this will actually work out. I'm just picking teams and players that I like. The problem with the NBA is like in this, like where like in the States where I was, where like they didn't have any games on ESPN Plus, and I mean, I don't know if they're gonna have games on Net. They probably aren't gonna have games on Netflix. They're probably not gonna. They might have games. Are games gonna be on Peacock this year, or no? They're gonna be on Amazon, aren't they? I don't know. There was no basketball to watch. I watched mostly hockey and football because that's what was on. There was no basketball. I never watched any basketball. It was never on my streaming, which feels so weird. Like, just put it on ESPN Plus. Like, I don't think you're gonna lose anything, especially if you're trying to cater to the younger demographic. I feel like you could put it on streaming. I think that's fine. Clippers are making the Clippers are missing the playoffs. Yeah. Is there any other player awards that I'm gonna miss here? Let's take a look. Not player averages. Player specials? Is that what I'm looking for? I don't know. I don't understand how any of this works. I don't understand how you can be a degenerate gambler. Luka has the best odds according to FanDuel of winning the MVP. Jokic at plus 400. Shea at plus 425, I feel like is a good bet. I like that bet. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, Canadian. Giannis plus 800. Anthony Edwards at plus 1200. Tatum plus 1500. Wembanyama at plus 1700. It feels like a low, like that feels like a bit of a dark horse that I would put a little bit of money on. Yeah, I don't know. That's MVP, Rookie of the Year. I don't know who any of these guys are. I know Zach Edey. He went to Purdue. He's Canadian. Plus 350. I don't know. Like, I like him. I don't know if I like those odds. I might go with the Reed Shepherd guy who has like plus 700. Maybe we'll do that. This is what I think the podcast really should be. It's just me just with no agenda, just ranting and just rambling, because that's what I do best. Reed Shepherd, Rocket, Rookie of the Year. There we go. That maybe is bad juju because I should have gone with the Canadian, but I don't like those odds. Most improved. Wemby at plus 700. I think the dude's already legit. Like that's like saying, oh, Connor Bedard is going to be the most improved player in the NHL. The dude already fucking rocks. Like, what do you mean he's the most improved? Scotty Barnes at plus 2,000. I don't think they're going to give it to a guy on a Canadian team. I don't know who Jalen Williams is. I don't know who Jalen Johnson is. See, is there another guy? I don't like any. I don't love any of these guys. You know what? I might go. Too many Raptors on here for my liking. I might go Paulo Banchero. Banchero? I think it's Banchero. He has a plus 3,500. Most improved. Coach of the Year. Yeah, I don't like Ime Aduke. I think Tibbs. Tibbs is a good bet. Plus 950. Missoula plus 1,100. I'm going to go with the Mark Dano, whatever. He's the OKC coach. I like his odds. OKC's probably going to be really good. They're going to give him a lot of praise. Sixth man of the year. Malik Monk is the favorite to be the sixth man of the year. This is my alley, the sixth man of the year, because this is like going back to dudes that I recognize, the dudes I know. Malik Monk, Dante DiVincenzo. I actually kind of like that bet. Buddy Hield, CJ McCollum, Jordan Clarkson. I'm gonna throw some money down for my guy Jordan Clarkson. I don't know when the last time Jordan Clarkson was actually relevant in this league, but I'll give him a little shout out here. And defensive player, yeah, Wemby, he's gonna win it. Okay, so here are my NBA preview picks. Here's my before the season starts predictions. The Nuggets are gonna win the finals. They're going to play I don't know. It's going to be the Nuggets and the Pacers. I'll say the Pacers. I don't think it's going to be the Knicks. I don't think it's going to be the Celtics. There you go. Nuggets, Pacers. Throw that in there just so I remember. Pacers. Eastern Conference champions. Spurs will make the playoffs. Lakers will make the playoffs. Golden State will make the playoffs. Shea will win MVP this year. Reed Shepherd will win Rookie of the Year. Paulo Banchero will win Most Improved. Mark Dagnall will win Coach of the Year. Jordan Clarkson is going to be Sixth Man of the Year. There you go. There's your NBA picks. There's your NBA predictions from a guy who doesn't know the NBA and hasn't watched it in like 2 years. So that's the podcast, really. I don't have anything else. We've gone about an hour. So thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for watching. Greatly appreciated. We're going to be back on Friday. We're going to have a new episode drop on Friday. Stay tuned for that. Stick around for that on Friday. We got a couple of good guests coming up later on in the next little bit here. Be sure to check out the Substack. You can check that out if you haven't already. That's the link in my Instagram bio. That's the link in my Twitter bio. You can follow me on Instagram at Ian McNaughty, and I think it's also my Twitter handle, Ian McNaughty. You can check out this pod on Instagram at SYP Pod. We post stuff sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes. So yeah, thank you very much for listening. Appreciate all your support. Please tell your friends. We'll be back again soon. Peace.